Welcome everyone to my DK preview. Welcome everyone to my DK preview. Now, I figured I was just going to do all three specs all in a row. Just go down the tree and get them knocked out of the way because, you know, each spec isn't really too complicated, but there's still a nice bit of depth with each one of them. And I'll go over like artifact weapons, talents, and all that sort of stuff. But let's first... Why does it say I accepted a quest somewhere? That was an odd bug. Well, beta's beta, but okay. Let's first go over your main abilities. So, your primary runic generator for blood is going to be Heart Strike. Heart Strike hits one enemy and an additional nearby enemy, causing X amount of physical damage and slowing them. As you can see, you generate bonus runic power for hitting a person with it, and additional enemies grant more runic power. Pretty good, huh? Which you then use your runic power to spend on death strikes. As you can see, my death strike does less than 10% of my total HP and damage, which is really weird. Death strike is an odd little thing. So it's like focus dark powers into your strike that deals X amount of physical damage and heals you for 20% of all damage taken within the last 5 seconds. It's really weird. And of course, minimum of 10% of maximum health. Well, when you have 2.5 million HP, Death Strike sometimes doesn't really heal what it should. Especially in a dungeon, and when you're using it against like mobs or a bunch of trash and that stuff, you'll use your Death Strike and it just... It's real pitiful, and I don't even think it's working correctly. That's my big thing, is I think it's bugged. So your second ability is Morrowind. So you smash the target doing X amount of damage, generating 3 bone shields. Bone shields is where you get your runic regeneration for blood decays. Your runes don't regen as fast on blood as it does on other classes because we don't have any rune regeneration with this class. Well, this spec, I should say. So the reason why you want Bone Shield up as much as you can is because of that 10% haste. Haste equals rune regeneration for your DKs. Our artifact ability is Consumption. One of my favorite artifact abilities. It is so glorious. Pulling like 6, 7, 8, 20 groups of mobs. Turning around, facing them, and just obliterating all the damage they have done to you for over the last 10 seconds or something. It is just ridiculous how much healing this gives you. So strikes all enemies in front of you, and it's got a big frontal cone. So even if you are like facing towards like an angle like this, you're still gonna hit them, as you can see. As long as you can hit them with your auto attacks, basically you can hit them with Consumption. So let's go on. Now, we get 2 charges of Boiling Blood. This is pretty much your filler. You're going to be popping it every time it's up, because it does a great deal of damage, it does a great deal of aggro, and it heals you. Blood Boil inflicts damage against all enemies and leaves Blood Plague, which every time Blood Plague ticks, it heals you. So you want to put Blood Plague on as many people as you can, because that's going to be one of your primary healing methods. You get this kind of weak sauce ability, Death Caress. It does weak damage. It applies the Blood Plague. Its animation's pretty weak. It's like, oh, look at that. As you can see, yeah, see, I get, it does 14,000 damage, and I'm healing every time it ticks. Now, you might think, well, you only have this one ability that cleaves naturally. How are you supposed to pull multiple groups and keep aggro? Good thing you asked. The Death and Decay has been changed a lot. Corrupting the target ground causes X amount of shadow damage over 10 seconds. Targets within the area, while remaining within the area, a halt strike hits an additional 3 targets. So you can hit up to 5 targets while you're in Death and Decay. Your primary target and 4 additional targets, which is pretty good. Don't mind that explosion, that's just a trinket. It's probably one of the greatest trinkets I've seen in Legion. I mean, look at that. Gives me a nice chunk of haste, but my melee attacks adds extra damage and gives me bonus damage. And it procs so often. Now you can see I'm getting more HP than I normally should off this target because of Blood Plague. And that's because it had that debuff. So all damage it takes is increased. Now, a big defensive ability is Dancing Runic Weapon. Summon your weapons. And here's the cool thing about this. They copy all of your attacks. So look, you see that I just applied 3 Blood Plagues on. It does 3 more wins. If I did Death Strike, it did 3 Death Strikes. And there must have been an Alliance player nearby. That's the only reason why these things would aggro. But yeah, so it copies all of your attacks, which I'm not sure if that was something that was in Legion. I don't think it was. Legion, not Legion, WoW, the Blood Decay was pretty pitiful. But now in Legion, the Blood Decay is really awesome. So, Taunt is, of course, Dark Command. You also have Goldfring Grasp and Death Grip. Nice abilities to grab your targets. Vampiric Plague or Blood is your big oh shit button, because with us at DKs, we don't have really any defensive abilities. We're all about being an offensive tank, which is kind of one thing that makes it so fun. It's like a lot of things heal you and you just hit like a truck. It is so glorious. So let's go to talents. So talents, you got your blood worms. Basically, when you do Death Strike, any bonus overhealing you do pops some blood worms down there. And every time you Death Strike and overheal, the extra healing goes to them. Anytime you take more than 50% of your HP, they instantly burst healing you. I prefer Heartbreaker, because you're going to be pulling a lot of mobs, and bosses do have the tendency of adding extra mobs to the fight. Hot Strikes generate an extra 3 additional power per target hit. That's pretty good. That means more Death Strikes for you. Blood Drinker, I wasn't a fan of this. I'll show it off. So, basically, it looks really awesome. You heal yourself for a good amount of ability over the next 3 seconds. It's a channeling ability, which is the sucky part is. You can at least move while using it, but the real thing is you use a rune to activate this. Not a big fan of things that activation to increase runic, increase runes. Oh shoot. Sorry, let me re-say that. Make it speak English. Alright. I don't like abilities you add to your class that require you to consume runes. I don't mind runic power consumption, but I hate rune consumption because those are going to be really hard for you to replace. Alright, so my tier, the second tier is Rapid Decomposition. Your Death and Decay deals 50% more deals damage 50% more often, which means shorter death and decays. Like, alright, so I'm going to go here. It's now a 15-second instead of a 10-second like before. But what makes it awesome is the death and decay is you'll be generating more runic power. And that is one of your big things. You will be wanting to generate a lot of runic power and doing big, meaty death back-to-back-to-back death strikes. Alright, you got your Scourge Sword. Basically, what this does is it gives you an instant ability to eat your blood plague right here, then instantly heals you. I'm just showing it off. I'm not trying to be impressive or anything. But now Blood Boil doesn't add your disease on it. So the only way to do your disease is this. And frankly, if this didn't cost a rune, I probably would enjoy it more. Now, alright, so then you got this. Split Spectre Defenses. An attack that deals more than 25% of your maximum HP will consume a second bone charge to further reduce the damage. Now remember, each bone shard or shield that does 20% less damage you take. So consuming 2 would jump it up to 40, I believe. Not sure if they're going to try to do real math or if they're just going to go, well, 20 plus 20, you know. Because, 20% if you consume a second one is not going to be 40. But let's hope that's the way it's working. So this is another thing I like. While you have 5 bone shield charges, the cost of Death Strike is reduced by 5 runic power. An additional, your max runic power is increased by 10. Pretty nice ability. Really good. I like this a lot. Alright, Blood Tap. This is also a really nice thing, and it generates a rune, which is really good. It recharges time reduced by 1 second whenever Bone Shield charge is consumed. So basically, you pop this, you activate it, and every time it generates a free rune, and every time your bone shields are destroyed, the recharge time is dropped. So this is for those that want to have a little more control of their rune regeneration. Like I said, as a blood DK, you do not have this naturally. Natural regeneration is the bone shield, 10% haste. Then your anti-magic shield. Anti-magic shield also increases your max HP by 25% for 10 seconds. I really don't like this one. I mean, even when I have it, probably the best item for anti-magic barrier or anti-magic shield, I still hate this. And I'm talking about my legendary cloak. It increases duration of magic shield by 100%. Any damage taken absorbs. Any damage it absorbs heals you. So if I get hit with a 10k fireball, let's just say fireball, because I know there's not going to be a 10k pyroblast. That's more of a 50k pyroblast. Instead of taking 50k damage, I'm going to take 50k healing, which is pretty nice. So you're probably thinking, well, why wouldn't you want this? Well, it doesn't reduce the cooldown of anti-magic shield, and you only pop it when you really need it. And this is far more useful. Both of these are more useful in my opinion than this. Alright, so Mark for Blood. This one is a mixed bag of feelings. It is a pretty nice ability because places a mark of blood on the target. When the target attacks you, it heals you. Alright. Pretty cool, but the big catch-22 is it's costs runic power, and you kind of want to use all your runic power on your death strikes. It's like the 2% maximum HP if you're getting hit for like 4 or 5% of your maximum HP. Doesn't really add up in the long run. Red Thirst, spending runic power, decrease the remaining cooldown of blood, vampiric blood. I really only use this in oh shit moments, usually when a boss is hitting me pretty hard and I need some extra healing. I mean, that's really what it is. It's your oh crap ability. So, you don't really need it all that often. And my favorite, Tombstone. Consumes all bone charges. For each charge consumed, you gain 3 runic power and absorb damage for 3% of your maximum HP. This is sick, because when you consume 10 strikes after doing a dancing rune weapon at Morrowind, that gives you a 30% HP shield. That is insane. So tightening grasp and reduces the cooldown by Goldframe's grasp. See, it's a 3-minute thing, now it's a 2-minute thing. Your death and decay also reduces the target's movement speed by 70%. Mobs really don't run away from you. If they do, it's more of they are jumping out of your death and decay. Literally, they leap out of it. They don't turn around and run. That's more of a PvP talent right there, and it kind of sickens me. Tremble before me, probably the best ability in the game. Enemies damaged by your death and decay has a chance to cower in place for 3 seconds. This procs a lot. The crappy part is you can only do it once every death and decay, but with the faster death and decay from rapid consumption or rapid decomposition, this procs often. It is just ridiculous. It is a lifesaver. It is something you use all the time. March of the Damned, your Wraith Rocket lasts 50% longer, breaks snare stuns, blah 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 blah. Another PvP talent in the PvE tree. Kind of crappy, in my opinion. So, Will of the Necropolis. Damage taken below 35% health is reduced by 20%. That's pretty much the same as stacking 2 more wins on you, which is good. That gives you that time to be like, oh crap, and pump your vampiric blood if you need to. You can also do this. I'm not a big fan of this one. I mean, I can see where it has its purposes. Consuming a rune to reduce all damage taken by 25% for 3 seconds. Not really a big fan of that. It's only 25% and it's 3 seconds. If it had a longer period, yeah, I probably would justify the consuming of a rune for it. And Foul Bulwark. Each charge of bone set increases your match HP by 2%. Woohoo! Yeah, pretty bad. So here's your big things. Your final tree, you got your Bone Storm, and you kind of, you don't do that little bone storming effect that you did from the ICC boss. I mean, I think that would have been awesome, but no, you kind of throw a few bones around you and a few piles of blood. It's really lackluster. I can show it off here real fast. Let's just build up a little power. Alright. Woohoo! Look at that. I mean, it's alright, but, you know. And the big thing is you cannot get this going forever. So it's like, even if you build more runic power, it's still going to have that cap of 12 seconds. So, yeah, that's Bone Storm. Blood Mirror, basically I inflicts the enemy with a Blood Mirror. All damage they do to me, basically 20% of it gets redirected to them. Pretty nice ability. I like it, but at the same time, it kind of rewards you for not playing the class correctly. Because, you know, you're trying to avoid as much damage as you can and just heal the rest of the damage. This one is like, oh, yeah, no, don't use any bone shields. Just flat out eat all your damage, all the damage the boss is about to give to you. Not quite really that great. I like this instead. So, Basically, you purgatory the same as it was before. Upon hitting a fatal amount of damage, you're given a second chance. This is a nice thing, and I love this for tanking because, you know, maybe your healer might not realize that they need to heal you as effectively. Or, let's say they're doing their really big heal, but they are half a second away and you would have normally died. Now you got this 3-second window of grace for them to pop that big heal off on you and then hit you with a couple of small spammy heals to get you back up. On top of that, you can pop it with Vampiric Embrace, and boom, you're gonna be golden. It is just this nice little, second chances. So for PvP, you got the Gladiator's Medallion, an active ability that removes all crowd lost controls. Basically, it's now the everyman for themselves talent. So you just pop that in there. And because, you know, we're Horde, it's going to look like an Undercity Honorable Medallion. And you can get it so that your Honorable Medallion pops automatically, but it has a 60-second cooldown. Which I don't know why you would not want this, because this is a 2-minute cooldown. And it's like, oh, if the stun lasts for more than 5 seconds, I get to pop this for free? That's kind of a good deal. Relentless places the honorable token during the incoming crowd control. The effect is reduced by 25%. So basically, you just get stunned a little less. Relentless assault, being attacked increases the damage you take. This can be procced by NPCs in players, which is really awesome. I like that. And I believe the rest of these as well can be affected by NPCs and players. I say that because this right here, Decomposing Aura, all enemies within you takes 3% of their max HP. Max HP. That's this whole thing right here. And stacks for every 2 seconds and stacks up to 5 times. So, just being next to the Death Knight, after 10 seconds, you're taking a whopping 15% of your maximum HP a tick. And even when you leave them, it will last for an additional 2 ticks. So even if you get away from the Death Knight with just a sliver of health, you're not going to live. This is going to proc 2 more times and kill you. Unholy Command, when you're in PvP, your Death Grip has 2 charges. Pretty nice. This only procs when you are flagged. Same with this. This is probably the worst talent I've ever seen. Blood for Blood. Heart Strikes increase, damage is increased by 50%. Okay, so my 100,000 Death Strike now, a Heart Strike now becomes 1,500. Not 1,500. 150,000 extra or 150,000 damage, but I take 10% of my total HP as a cost. So I'm doing an extra 50k damage, but I'm taking 250,000 damage an attack. This talent kills you faster than anything, and you can't get rid of it. You cannot get rid of it. This is the shitty part. You have to be level 28 before you can even get rid of it. I kind of like that a lot. I really want that. But yeah, so I'll just hover over each of them so you can read them off. I'm not going to really read them off because it's just going to take too much time. And I've actually, one thing I do enjoy about the Legion stuff is that you actually can get PvP levels from PvE. Now you're probably thinking like, well, how do you do that? Well, here in a second I'll show you. Just wanted to show you all everything. Okay. So we're gonna go, to the Broken Isles. Now, as you can see, there is some daily quests here. Some of these daily quests, like this, is going to be a PvP one. Upon completing this, not only would you get the rewards, you would get all the experience you got normally from killing the mobs and all that sort of stuff as a PvP experience. So every mob you kill out here in one of these flag zones, that's what these swords means, is that... here's one of the alliance ones that is way out there in the boonies. But yeah, every time you kill an NPC inside one of these zones, you get, instead of XP for PvE, it's PvP XP. So killing flagged NPCs will give you PvP XP, which is nice. So yeah, so here's all the world dailies. When you complete that, you get a chest with a bunch of artifact power and all that sort of stuff. And now, let us show off the Mall of the Dam. Or in this current version, which you can see is the upgraded version, it's Blood Mall. So you start here with consumption, and you move up here, increases physical damage by 5%. Kind of an odd thing, but oh well, you're a physical tank. You're an offensive tank. Now, you get these other things which increases duration, increases damage. Your big things are these 1-point areas right here. So the first big one you want to grab, Dancing Weapon, now creates a second copy of Mall of the Dam. That is why you saw 2 of those when I spawned them instead of just 1, because I have this. Now here's another thing. Hard Strike heals you for 25% of the damage it deals. That means every time I hit a mob for 100k, I'm getting 25k back for HP. And here's another one. Morrowind has a 30% to generating an additional bone shield. Pretty nice, but alright. So here's the big ones. Unending Thirst. While Blood Shred is activated, you gain 25% leech, which is real nice because that stacks with stuff like this. So, you know, you're getting a 50k heal every time you Hot Strike, sorry. And your Death Strikes hit for 25% more, which is really good. I like it. And it gives you just this back-to-back-to-back meaty Death Strikes. Skeleton Shatter, each time a bone shot absorbs damage, it has a chance equal to your crit chance to additional 8%. So, if you're 8... So, as you can see, I have an additional 17% with this talent to absorb 28% instead of just 20. Okay, pretty good. Another reason why those talents to consume extra bone shots not really that great. And this one. This one you really don't want to grab until you grab this, which increases the damage done by your blood plague. So, after vampiric blood expires, you gain an absorbed damage shield 5 times equal to the damage your blood plague did during vampiric blood. So this is one of those catch-22 things. You want to pop that off when you need it, but you also want to have your blood plague as on many targets as can be. And you want to make sure it's at its strongest, which usually means grabbing this. So yeah, then you got things like here, increases parry, death and decay damage. You get all these armor, stam, damage. Basically, it's just a mixture of damage and tanking ability. Now let's move on to the next one, Frost. This one is probably my weakest spec, and I say that because I'm not quite really good with it. So your ability is Howling Blast, going to hit everything in front of you, nearby targets with ice damage. Puts Frost Fever on, and Frost Fever has a chance of generating runic power every time it ticks. Obliterate. Brutal attacks with both weapons dealing X amount of damage. There's a Killing Frost, and there's Rim. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to show that off. Oh, I forgot the passives in Blood. Let's just switch back real fast for the Blood passives. Blood doesn't have that many passives. So your passive is Crimson Scourge. Your auto attacks on targets affected by Blood Blade have a chance of making your Death and Decay cost no runes and resets the cooldown. Really good. You're going to love this whenever it procs, and you're going to be using it all the time. Your Mastery, Death Strike healing grants you a 46% shield based on the amount you healed. You also increase your attack power by 30%. Really good because you are an offensive tank. You aren't a defensive tank. On a Pale Horse, this is something everyone else gets. While mounted, you gain an extra 20% speed. Veteran of the Third World. This is where the Blood Presence got changed. So Blood Presence used to increase or decrease the amount of damage you took and increase the threat you generated and increased your stam. Instead, they put it right here, and you basically get a great deal of stam. I mean, 50% more stam, and you gain 15% more armor. So that's why I'm sitting at the 2.5 million HP. As a Blood DK, I think you are probably the highest HP tank out there. But then it makes sense because your massive HP pool is hindered by the lack of defensive abilities. You are offensive. So Frost. So yeah, you got the Rhyme, you got the Killing Machine I showed you. Now, your Death and Decay got replaced with this ability called Remorseless Winter. So you proc it, you activate it, and now you're surrounded by this big shield of ice that when you get near people, it hits them for damage. So your big DPS cooldown that you're going to be wanting to use as often as you can whenever it's on cooldown, like for Merciless Winter, is Pillar Fries. Activating this grants you additional 20% strength and makes you immune to all CC's abilities. Well, not all CC's, but external movement effects such as knockbacks, and I'm guessing that means anything, pulls and stuff like that. So these are your big abilities right here. Just kind of ignore the Death Strike and all this sort of stuff. It will automatically switch around oddly. Your big talents are Shattering Strike. If there's 5 stacks of Razor Ice, which is your Rune Forge here. Every time you attack the target, you do extra damage, and you make them vulnerable to frost attacks. So every time you have 5 stacks of this, because this will stack up to 5 times, when using Frost Strike, which is your runic power consumption, instantly obliterates that, doing bonus damage, which is pretty cool. Icy Talents, I actually like this a little more because it gives you more more obliterates Killing Machine procs. So Talents, every time you Frost Strike, you gain 10% attack speed. For 6 seconds, can go up to 3 seconds, or can stack up to 3 times. So your auto attacks is one of your big DPS things as Frost, so you're going to be wanting to keep that up. As you can see, so Murderous Effect. This is another really good one. This is one that I really am tossed on. So, consuming Murderous or Killing Machine, you have a chance of gaining one rune, which basically makes your Obliterate have a chance of only costing 1 rune, which is really good, but, you know, you want more attack speed to get more Killing Machines, but then you want more Killing Machines to get cheaper Obliterates. So yeah, it's a really good catch-22. Howling Blast does more damage. Frozen Pulse, when you have no runes, so like I'll just boom, boom, boom. Okay, so now I'm pulsing for frost damage. And it does some pretty nice damage. But it only lasts as long as you have your frost damage up there. And as you can see, my frost fever is a lot weaker. And Horn of Winter. This is an instant ability that when you use it, you generate some runic power and you get a rune. You get some runes and runic power. So yeah, I'll come over here. Attack. And as you can see, I just instantly gained 2 runes. Something to help you speed up the class if you're feeling that it's having some runic problems, or rune problems. Sorry, I keep saying runic and I mean runes. Runic is your power right here that you're using to spin. So it does some pretty good damage, as you can see, and actually I kind of like this a little more than Icy Talons. Yeah, my killing machines aren't proccing as much, but I'm keeping my runes on less cooldowns. Alright, so now Ice Cap, your Frost Strikes and Obliterate crits reduce the remaining cooldown of Pillar of Frost. Like I said, this is your big DPS cooldown. You want to have it active at all times. Hungering rune weapons. Empowered your rune weapons gain 1 rune and 5 runic power instead of instantly, and 1 every 5 point. You know, every 1 for every 1.5 seconds. Sorry, I'm a little tongue-tied. I just woke up. So basically, this, you gain all your runes back immediately and 25 runic power. This is bad because you're going to lose DPS, because unless you have literally just done this and used up all of your runes, that is kind of crap. As you can see, Frost is real simple. You just kind of spam Obliterate until you get a Rhyme proc, and you spam Frost Strike whenever you can. Real simple, nothing major to it, not really that interesting. So let's move on to more talents. Avalanche, whenever Pillar of Frost is active in your melee crit strikes causes frosty pillows to fall upon your people. So when I activate this, if I get a crit, everyone around me takes more damage. Alright, so Abomination's Might, this is one of those PvP talents. Woohoo! Crit strikes from Obliterate stuns targets or daze players. Woohoo! Blinding Sheet. You activate this, and basically it's a blind ability. You know, the rogues, I'm going to throw dirt in your face. It's that whole thing, but it's now from a Death Knight, and they just walk around for 4 seconds. Kind of crappy. Enemy struck by Remoteless Winter 5 times while Pillars of Frost is active. It grants you a 4-second stun. So the person's testing out their class. So Violent Shielding. Your anti-magic shield absorbs more damage and then explodes after it expires for all the damage it absorbs. I think this probably works really good with this cape, but I don't know. Because usually I'm not using this in Frost Dance. Permafrost, your auto attacks grant you an absorbed shield of the 30% damage. As you can see, I get this little shield going. And you can see the shield just keeps climbing and climbing. White Walker, Game of Thrones reference. Your Wraithrock is less crappy. This is Wraithrock. Oh boy, yay! And I just fell into the slime. But yeah, Wraithrock, really, really bad movement ability. I mean, you wouldn't probably notice it as Frost and Blood because they normally didn't get a movement increase, but on Holy, you notice it a lot. So Frost Scythe, this is one of those quick catch-22 abilities. You really wonder if you should take it. Basically, you get a frontal cone now that does frost damage. As you can see, I hit the target back there. Its damage is pretty weak unless I have Killing Machine up. Then it does 4 times the amount of damage, but it cannot proc Rim. As you can see, now the Killing Machine. And basically, it's a 1-rune version of Obliterate, but Obliterate hits so much harder when you use it. It just has that big frontal cleave, I think. That's probably the only good reason you would want it. It's far weaker than Obliterate and all that stuff. I like this. Your auto attacks generate 1 additional rune. That means more frost strikes, which means more rune regens. So Gathering Stone, each rune you spend during your remorseless winter. So it's like if I had, let's actually. I'm just going to show this off real fast. So I'm going to do this, and now, as you can see, my remorseless winter is hitting a lot harder. As you can see, it has that 8-second increase time, and it extends your remorseless window. So it makes remorseless window hit like a truck. I like it a lot, but I also like this one as well. So Obliterate instantly activates your all frost strikes. Instantly create Killing Machine and makes Obliterate cost less runes. This procs really well with this because if this procs and you're using this, it means that you will have free Obliterates. Let's see if I can pull it off. So as you can see, it wasn't quite as successful, but it has its real good DPS potential, as you can see. Cindergraph's Breath, same as before. Glacial Advance. Little ability you get, not really all that interesting. You shoot a spike in front of you that does damage, but I haven't seen it actually working correctly because you'll be here doing your little melee attacks, and then the spike will shoot backwards for some reason. I don't know why that is. So for the most part, the PvP talents are the same. The only ones that really changed are this row and this row. So these 3 rows, you can look at them. You got the hardness, you got the reinforced armor, the sparring, and you got the death chill. Your Northern Winds, and Tundra Stalker, Frozen Serum, Killing Machine, which is odd because Killing Machine replaces Killing Machine. Oh, okay, and that makes Killing Machine no longer a passive but an active. And Chill Strike. Alright. And your big passives for it is, of course, Dark Succor, Killing Machine. So killing a target makes it so your Death Strike does more healing, which is always good. Your Mastery Frozen Hearts increases all frost damage. On a pale horse, everyone gets. Rim Obliterates have a chance doing their things. This is how Death Decay, Frost Decays get their rune regeneration. Every time they use their Frost Strike, they have a X amount of chance to gain a rune. Now this one I don't quite like so much as the Unholy one because it's random which rune it will reach in. And if you have a rune that is like very close to being fully capped, it might proc and get that one, even though you might have one over here that's fully depleted. That's the word I was looking for. So that kind of sucks because it will randomly fill up a depleted rune, and oftentimes you will get the one rune that's like half a second away from it being already filled. Oh, now let's go with... Oh yeah, then the blades of the Frost Death Knight. Now, you have these two blades, but it's like if you take them off, they both go off because it's a two-set weapon now. So you'll always have the same thing, no matter what you do. So... what's going on? I'm not paying attention. So your big things is, okay, so your first thing you're going to pick up increases your attack speed. This is pretty critical. Your starting ability is actually a passive. I think this is the only class in the game that has its one of its major passives, and I talk about these things right here, as its starting ability. So you basically, your attacks have a chance of making a copy, and then they just fly forward and stab the target, and rinse and repeat. And there's a reason for that, because down here, all the way right here, is your active. Cinderghost's Fury. It's a 5-minute cooldown, and as you can see, it does a ton of damage. Really good for PvE. I'm not so sure for PvP because Cindergrosa will actually spawn like right back here behind you and move forward. So anyone paying attention to you in PvP can dodge it. Or they can ice block or, you know, use anti-magic shell, which is pretty much like, hey, thank you for all the free healing from me. So yeah, that's the big draw side of that. So your big passive things are Mirror Ball, Anti-Magic Cell also removes harmful magic effects. Chill of the Grave increases the range of Frost Strike. Nothing really major for the Frost DK. Hypothermia, each time Frost Fever deals damage, it has a chance to erupt, dealing X amount damage to the target. That's pretty nice. That's actually real nice. Frozen Core, your Pillar of Frost also increases frost damage for the duration. That's pretty nice as well. As you can see, you got your Frozen Orb, or Frozen Soul when Remorseless Winter ends. Frost Reaper and Icebringer releases X amount of frost damage and increases with each enemy that was hit with Remorseless Winter. So basically, Remorseless Winter just keeps getting stronger and stronger the more targets you hit. And that's pretty much it for the artifacts. I mean, you can see the rest of them on the things. They're pretty much the same. Let us move on to Unholy. Now, Unholy has had probably the biggest change of all. Because previously in Unholy, in WoW version, your job was to put on powerful diseases and kind of juggle them around while juggling your pet around. So I'm going to summon my pet, and you remember the old stuff where your pet would get stronger every time you death coil? That's gone. So you're no longer juggling diseases, you're no longer juggling pet buffs. Instead, Dark Transformation is just an instant 1-minute cooldown, so you can pop it whenever you want. Your pet now does some nice extra damage. You get your gargoyle thing, and you get your other big cooldowns abilities, your Army of the Dead. Unholy, however, has some nice little tricks up its sleeve, and I love these tricks. So its big thing is you cast Outbreak. It does small amount of shadow damage. It then applies a shadow dot, and it applies... Don't mind these, because these are all pretty awesome, but just ignore those for right now. So you apply your shadow damage, and as you can see, oh, that one just erupted. So the diseases will randomly erupt. As you can see, when you see little green goo flying out of them, that is them erupting. See, that one just erupted. And it erupts pretty often. And my little trinket procced, and there's my death and decay. Okay, it has a nice lot of abilities. I'm gonna end up having to show off. So, you start off with your Apocalypse, which is a really nice ability. I will go into more detail with that. Your first thing is your Frost of Souls. Your second big thing is Army of the Damned now adds special effects to them. So you'll have 2 Death Ghouls, 2 War Ghouls, 2 Famine Ghouls, and 2 Pestilent Ghouls. And as you can see, when the ghouls do a damage, they have a chance of applying an effect. Death Ghouls increases the damage the target will take from the Death Knight. War Ghouls reduces its healing. Famine reduces damage it does to the Death Knight. And Pestilent, it adds a small dot to it. And you got your Portal to the Underworld. When Death and Decay, or when, Army of the Dead ends, they all explode for a bunch of damage. So these are your 2 major 1 talents. Your other 1 talent is really, really shitty. Gravitational Pull. Death Grip reduces the target's movement speed by 50% for 6 seconds. That's a PvP talent. What the heck is that doing in my artifact? Alright, whatever. So then you have Double Doom. Double Doom is not working in the game right now, so I can't show it off. Instead, I ended up having to work my ass off to get the Shambler, which is something you saw earlier, that ghoul that just kind of popped up out of nowhere and exploded. That is the Shambler. So the Shambler will randomly pop up and explode. He's supposed to like walk towards your target, but he kind of just spawns on the target and instantly explodes. I'm not sure if that's a bug or whatnot, but I like it. I mean, it makes it a little harder to counter for PvP. And then your Scourge of the World, your Death Courier, has a chance to increase your Scourge Strike by 30%. Not really that great, especially since you got a talent that kind of makes it more useful. I'm gonna have my pet call back. So, yeah, your Outbreak does your little shadow damage, and it has the chance to erupt. The erupt actually procs a lot. Your big thing, your runic regeneration, your runic power generator is going to be a mixture between Scourge Strike and Festering Strike. So now, Festering Strike, when applied, as you can see, will apply Festering Wounds, which I just had that zombie spawn as well that I was talking about. I then pop these Festering Wounds for additional runic power, and then I spend the runic power on my Death Coils, which has a chance to proc Runic Corruption. And the nice thing is that free Death Coils you get from, there's Sudden Doom, and it procced again. Does have a chance of proccing the runic thing. So yeah, we got that. Now your artifact ability, you pop in all your Festering Wounds, and then you use them to do a shit ton of damage and summon your army of ghouls. So as you can see, kinda nice. And as you can see, the zombie had some war, some pestilence. He didn't have any death, which is a shame, because that increased damage you get is passed on to your pets or any exploding zombies, which can make it pretty nice. So your big DPS equivalent, as you can see, the guy is still going to spawn because of the dot. which he spawns a lot, which I like. I like that. It is a really heavy AoE class when you think about it, and you get all your artifact abilities. Your AoE might suck at first, but it rocks in the later games. But, so, for your AoE, besides your Outbreak, you have only one AoE. When in your Death and Decay, Scourge Strike will strike a nearby target. Oh wow, back-to-back zombies. And this is pretty much all of the Death Knights. You have your Summon Gargoyle cooldown, your Dark Transformation, your Army of the Dead like I showed off earlier. Now what makes the Death Knight, the Unholy Death Knight, really nice is its talents. So all will serve, okay, we'll take that, and basically now I get my ghoul, and I get a little bow shooting skeleton. Maybe. Did they change it? Nope, he shoots. Okay. And the really shitty part is you can't control this guy. Oh, no. Yeah, you can't control him. See, he's gonna keep attacking no matter what I do, so I have to literally run very far away from the target to prevent him from attacking. So we're gonna just get rid of that. Burst Swords, this is the one I love. Festering Rune does 50% more damage and cleaves nearby targets. Targets that it cleaves suffers 40k shadow damage. So this is part of your AoE now. So now bursting your Festering Wounds becomes AoE. Then this talent, I hate this talent with a passion. Virulent Plague deals the same amount of damage in half the time. Well, that's alright, except for you're not doing your Virulent Plague for the basic dot damage. I mean, yes, it does some nice dot damage, but what you're really doing it for is that combustion, the eruption that it does, the 52,000 eruption damage. That procs so often, and it, you know, you just want that to be on your target as long as possible. The more ticks it has, the more eruptions it has, meaning more DPS. Why the hell would you ever get rid of this? I do not know. I liked the old one where it did 50% more damage and it had a 50% increased timer. This is more like a PvP talent than a PvE. So Epidemic, it consumed one rune. You know what I think about consuming rune abilities. So yeah, it's just one of those things that just makes the base Outbreak do more damage. It's like, no. Pestilent Pustules, every 6 festering wound you burst instantly grants you a free rune. I love this. You're going to be using it a lot. Blighted Rune Rep in instant. Your next full auto attacks inflicts your targets with festering wounds. This is also a really nice thing, as it is a way that you can get some festering wounds on your target without spinning the 2 runes for festering strike. Which I kind of like that. So as you can see, my target is now just getting its start, and I can apply it. Now, don't mind the loss of the 2 things that's coming up next. So then you got your Unholy Frenzy. Bursting a wound causes your pet to deal 100% attack speed. Not really that great, especially since your pet's kind of weaker in this iteration now. Your DPS is more around you, the player, and not your pet. Get your ass back here. Catastrophe, your Festering Strike crits will apply an additional 2 wounds. So you can get up to 6 wounds if it crits, 4 wounds if you got terrible luck like me. Scourge Strike pops an additional rune for its crits. Okay, yeah, this is somewhat decent. If you have a high crit chance, it's a really good talent. I prefer this. Okay, so as you can see, with my Scourge Strike, it does about, let's say 70,000 damage. but half of that is physical damage, and physical damage, of course, is mitigated by armor. I can now put this on, and I'm doing 81,000 damage, and it's all shadow damage, which scales with your passive, and it does increase. It scales with your passive, and it has a 30-yard range. So, yeah, it's like, why in the world would you not take this? I have no idea. Look how much damage it's doing. So, yeah, it is really nice. And there's the little zombie coming forward, exploding. So, here's the tree I hate. Absolutely hate. You have your Sludge Belcher, so I'm going to summon this. Basically, not a extremely more powerful unit. He has the same things, he just has an additional ability in each of his forms. In his normal form, he has the hook, which acts like a second death grip. Unless the target is immune to pulls, then it pulls him to it, which is pretty cool. You have your Asphyxiate, not really that great of a talent. I mean, this and this is more for PvP. And your Sludge Belcher, when you activate him, he now produces an AoE effect around him. So I'm going to have him go attack. And as you can see, he's going to start producing some AoE fields on the ground. And as I say that, he does it. Great. Okay. Never mind. He's supposed to. He's supposed to. I don't know why he's not. But, yeah. So here we go. Spell Eater with my cape. Your spell, your anti-magic shell is 20% larger and lasts an extra 5 seconds. That stacks with the cape, and it just makes it so worth it. You have this other ability, Corpse Shield, that you buff your Abomination or Ghoul to take all the additional damage, but if they die, which they will, because if you're pumping this as a cooldown, that means you're taking a lot of damage from something, and it usually will end up being the death of your Abomination, since they only have half the HP as you do. Lingering Explanations, you move faster. It's another one of these stupid Wraith Rock talents. If you notice, that was a theory with a thing with each of the things. They had some stupid Wraith Rock ability right here. So now, if you want to be a little less passive on your things, and you want to be more towards like Unholy Frenzy, going with stuff like this. You can do that. You can infuse it so your pet can be transformed more often, or you can do it so that your pet will inflict more festering wounds when you pop your dots. I still like Necrosis. It is pretty much the bigger, stronger version of this. As you can see, your Deathcore has a chance of doing 30% more damage, or making your Death Strike do 30% damage. This is 100% guaranteed that your next Scourge Strike or Clawing Shadows, depending on what you have, will do 35% increased damage. Alright. So, reason why I'm really sad that Double Doom doesn't work is because Sudden Doom working and that sort of stuff. Dark Arbitite summons a Valkyrie that does extra damage for each runic power you spend. So, having free runic things from Double Doom counts towards this, and you can just really get her ramped up on DPS. I've gotten her over the 15 seconds to do an additional 260% damage. It's really powerful. This, I don't understand why this is on the Unholy. I mean, an extra 200 mastery is nothing. Extra 200 mastery is nothing. I liked the other one where you took less damage, and I would love it on the blood DK, but oh well, it's not there. And Soul Reaper, instead of being an execute, your Soul Reaper strikes the enemy and then bursts his wounds. When you burst wounds, you gain haste. This is, of course, for people who can't control their festering wounds and can't control their runes and they just can't control their class. It is that, oh, you can't play this class, so here's a crutch ability. Because a good player is going to be able to control their runes, their runic power, and all that sort of stuff. For honorable talents, like again, this is the same, but these two have changed. Cryptic Fever, Pandemic, Wandering Plague, Necrotic Strike, Reanimation, and Unholy Mutation. I kind of want something like this to replace this. You know, just a 1-point passive. Whenever you pop a festering wound, a festering oozing pops out doing shadow damage. That's the trinket again. But yeah, that's the Death Knight for you. As you can see, I've spent a lot of time on the blood and unholy, not a lot of time on the frost because it's just not my playstyle. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys